Good morning, group. Thank you for your presentation. My major apologies that I didn't give you feedback on this earlier than today. It was a bit late, though. I was expecting this last Sunday, but nevertheless, I got it now, so I'm a bit behind. On your screen, on the first presentation, let me get started. Let's see. The first thing that I see that's glaringly not inclusive is the fact that you only have two of you. And there's at least three active members in the class right now. You're missing Steve and Martin's participation on the presentation. So you may want to go back and include his name as part of your group. On the second slide, you start off real strong. We start real strong with your visual pictures and images on the first screen. And then you pretty much get right into a description of research. Research can be defined as a search of knowledge, yada, yada, yada. Excellent. You quote your reference, cite your reference. I think that's good. Second slide, you get into a little bit more details. You're highlighting using color and formatting, so I think that's also very good, giving a different perspective about definition of research. And then you get into the details of it, which is what I can appreciate. After you finish describing it, on your third slide, you really talk about how to do it. So again, taking advantage of formatting and color, you're really emphasizing the keywords, making sure it's easier for you to read, and also citing your sources. So I think that's great. You go into more detail, you talk about the different types of research. In this particular case, you're going to scientific research. I think that your comments are both on the following slides are both succinct and again using great formatting. Not a lot of imagery at this point going into it, so it may be just real distracting. It could be just a regular read. Scientific research again. Some thing that I like about this, I got on my hybrid students about this, is you actually listed out the different steps behind it, particularly in this case for scientific research. So I think that's a plus in your standpoint and your side and your resources once again. You talk about different topics. The only thing different about this is you describe examples of scientific research. So these are good, but on the in particular 6 bullets that you gave, you're leaving it for the reader to kind of discern, for he or she to discern exactly what makes these examples of scientific research. So by saying that the scientific research, you're saying health improvement, that's really not connecting some of your descriptions based off of the words or examples that you use. So that's something you may want to figure out. And that's to say, why is health improvement an example of scientific research? Why is diet myths and other misconceptions an example of scientific research? You're not necessarily making the connection from your previous slides to your examples. And that's always important, because I like it when you quote examples, but it's also important that you tie them into your definitions that you're using to present. Then you go into another type. You talk about causal or relational research. Those are good. You give some examples of causal. See, now here in this example, you actually give a brief description example of what is causal research, which I think is good. And you didn't do that for the one that you spent the most time on, using scientific research. So that's something that you may wish to do. So reading your example right quick. Yeah, that's a good example. And then you also cited your source on that one. So you may want to do, instead of listing out 6 examples of scientific research, you may want to do 1 or 2 examples of scientific research. And if you can, find a little bit more detailed description of what would make some of those examples of scientific research. And don't just pick the top 2. Pick the best of what you find for good definitions, or using your own words. I can tell that you cited this from Henry Ford's Health website. Perhaps you just may want to actually put something in wording on your own. That may also make it more relatable to your peers. Examples of descriptive research, again, you do the same thing. And then you switch the slide example on me. We talk about example of relational research to science, and then you get all the small text. I am not, well, it's a good example of relational research. It's just a detailed example. So you've gone from a regular size of your file down to small sizes for them to read. If this is the best example that you can find, great. I will say it's detailed. And I don't want it to go over your colleagues' heads. You don't want to necessarily lose them. So then you immediately just do this quick, hard, dirty, fast transition, answering the first question of the presentation. So you did what the other group did, talked about the relationship between science, technology, and society. Perhaps I need to work on how I present the question a bit better. This is pretty much jogging exactly from the beginning of class that we did. So I recognize the description is good. The developing world has a long tradition of participatory action, research, popular education. It's almost as if you just cut and paste it. There's no visual to kind of go along with it to really give anybody an example. This is just straight up words. So if you're going to use this definition, I would say probably attach to some type of visual, image, art, video, something that really helps the reader understand. You talk about, on the next slide, technology and science. Science and technology has actually largely contributed to the vision of man about himself. Science has been modified. Okay, so you took, again, this from someplace. I'm sure it's true. My question to you is, what the heck does it mean? Put this in your own words, or give me some example or something of what you're describing, because this is kind of bringing the second aspect of the presentation together, and it's kind of bland. It's something I would expect to read, but it's not necessarily connecting with it. I think this would be better suited in your own words to give you some other examples. So now you're comparing technology to science. Checking it out, technology and science are synonymous. Yep, true. Technology also plays an important role in human affairs, relationship. Yep, true. You're citing your source at the end. Again, at this point, the majority of your presentation has been quite text-based, not using some of the other modalities of content learning. No imagery, no video, no nothing, just text, read. You know, I could have made this into a paper, but that's okay. I think that this is an important slide, but again, the only thing that's missing, I can tell it's a straight definition as opposed to you putting it in your own words. And then you jump immediately to summary. So I'm not quite sure if you're addressing the original question, which is understand the implications and actions of science and technology. I'm not quite sure you're connecting that by just simply giving a definition of science and technology. But since the other group did it too, I think that may be a fact or something that I did incorrectly. So I won't put that on you totally. And in the end, your last slide, you are pretty much going to your summary, talking about the key things you want them to know. The one bullet point summary on science and technology are comparable and ideas revolve around research. Okay, I guess that's a connection if you're going to go that route. And then, of course, you're doing your references. So, overall, very text-rich, not a lot of other visuals that you're using on here. Those were some of the text examples, particularly in the front. I think that you are using the text formatting and bolding and color very well to emphasize your points. The second half of the presentation, you're just kind of putting information out there, almost as if you're tired. Not a lot of examples, concrete examples, in order to help them understand the importance and implications of the research of science and technology in action. And more importantly, I guess I was trying to go about and its impact on society. Why is that important? How is that important? I didn't really get that, but if that's not what you all wanted to present for yourself, please feel free to take my input and feedback accordingly. You'll need to have the presentation up sometime by Monday at the latest so that people can have the rest of the week to write their mini papers for week 3. Or mini paper 3. And on your part, all members of the group, including Stephen, who you did not include on the presentation, whether he helps out or not, all 3 of you are doing that. You all, the 3 of you, have to be sure to complete your peer group evaluation form, and that's what you submit in place of your presentation. And if there's any other additional links or video links that you wish to put in to the group section, that would be fine. Good work, though. It's a good attempt. Very strong. Have a great weekend. I look forward to doing your work for week 10. Take care.